Sin and Franca, are we ready to go?
Yeah, I think we can start.
Hey, welcome everyone to our tech industry seminar series, a tech talk that's we're very fortunate today to be having multiple people from Intellect in our company. And as you know, there's a lot of benefit from these tech talks, and it's really an opportunity for you as students to engage with people who are in a position that you want to be very soon. So I encourage you to make the most of this opportunity, ask as many questions or ask questions and engage with our presenters. And they really do have a wealth of knowledge that they're going to be giving us. Difficult task to tell us so much in such a short time. But having said that, let me not take up the time and let's hand over to our guests. And firstly, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Anil Lackhoo, who's a senior software engineer at Entelect, and he's also a team lead. And I also actually know him from paddle courts as well. So really glad to see a familiar face. And I always want to hand over to you, and he's going to be telling us about AI in the industry. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Asad. I will share my screen in a second. Just give me. All right. And yeah, away we go. Cool. Can you see the slides?
Yeah, we can see our slides.
Perfect. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, in today's talk, I'll be chatting about AI in industry and how you can stand out and make an impact in an ever-changing and growing environment. Cool. Just a bit about me. I've been in Intellect for 5 years and I've been loving every second. Got roughly 7 years of Python experience with some .NET. 5 years of Power BI experience, 2 years using Azure OpenAI. And I'm an aspiring Flutterflow dev. So just look out for Astro, which is my pet project. And of course, as Asad mentioned, paddle and squash. I love them. Awesome. So what's to come? Well, first we'll talk about what AI is, AI in industry and its applications, making an impact with AI, and just wrapping up. But first, an obligatory meme. Yeah, gotta pay credit to AI because it might be taking over the world. I'm not sure. But anyway, jokes aside, let's go on to what AI is. And perhaps it might be a bunch of if statements, who knows? All right, so what is AI? AI, or artificial intelligence, refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines to perform tasks that humans typically do. As you know, the human brain is a complex machine that performs several tasks, such as learning, problem solving, pattern recognition, and making bad decisions, sometimes really bad ones. AI is designed to and programmed to learn, solve, and think just as humans, albeit faster and better. So AI didn't just come out of the blue. It is a combination of decades of research and experimentation, starting as early as the 1950s. The real boom only really occurred when LLMs and generative AI, aka ChatGPT, took the stage around the end of 2022. Although technically correct, AI does actually belong in the deep learning region, as shown in the diagram over here. Although it is just cooler to say AI is taking over the world than deep learning. Well, you may be asking, well, that's cool and all, but what can we actually use AI for? And we'll talk about that. And if you've ever watched Terminator, then Skynet probably comes to mind. Cool. So it's a great question. And honestly, the list is endless. So let's maybe cover some major sectors. So starting with manufacturing, predictive maintenance is a great one. So predicting when equipment will break down before it happens, reducing downtime and costs. Quality control, making sure that the quality of your production processes is maintained and consistent. Supply chain optimization, forecasting supply and demand, inventory levels, and logistic efficiency. In the healthcare sector, AI-assisted diagnostics, so speeding up the diagnostic process and possibly predicting dread diseases before they happen. personalized medicine and treatment, analyzing patient history and prescribing the medicine they need based on their profile. And operational efficiency, so streamlining the hospital admin process, billing, and patient data. And last but not least, my favorite, which is finance. So fraud detection is a great one. So preventing fraud and blocking suspicious transactions. Customer service. So LLMs trained to answer customers and their service requests. Think of the chatbots that you've probably encountered. And of course, enhanced trading. So better returns on investments and picking up trends in the data. Well, now that we've got a rough idea of how AI is used in industry, let's maybe look at how we can make an impact with AI. Because, well, your overlord does need a day job too. So let's set the stage. So recently at one of my projects, we were tasked with solving the issue of high turnaround times when a client requested for their account statement. So, you know, like a bank statement that you get. This involved a human agent to read the customer's email, retrieve the statement, and reply to the customer with the requested statement. So to give you an idea, the pool of agents had to deal with an average of about 5,000 requests a day, and hence the turnaround time was roughly 48 hours, which to be fair, in this day and age is a lifetime. We initially figured out that we could train an ML model, but you know, I don't think that would have been enough time because we only had about a month to figure this out. Fortunately, we were granted access to an Azure OpenAI instance, and they said, well, guys, play around with it and see what you can figure out. So before we actually reveal how AI fits into this picture, let's just make sure we've got everything that we need. So the problem statement has been clearly defined. We're basically wanting to reduce the turnaround time. The why as well has been answered. So again, saving time and money. And we're also speaking about the outcome here as well. Then finally, the data, which is in the form of the client email request. So just remember, garbage in means garbage out. So if you're giving your model very bad or dirty data, your model is going to equally return very bad data. And I'm going to show you a diagram, but it is grossly oversimplifying the solution. But essentially what we did is we said, okay, cool, the client will send an email requesting an account statement. And what we're going to do is we're going to train an Azure OpenAI model, which is essentially ChatGPT, and ask it to classify whether that is a valid statement request or not. If it isn't, then we send an email back to the client to say, sorry, it's an invalid request. But if it is a valid request, then we initiate something called an RPA process, a robotic process automation, to retrieve the statement, attach it to an email, and send it off back to the client with the full detail. So using Azure OpenAI and some clever prompt engineering, based on a test set of 1,000 emails, we managed to get an 80% accuracy with our first iteration. So in other words, we managed to correctly classify 80% of our input emails. So what is the actual impact of this? Well, the impact was twofold. First, we reduced the turnaround time from 48 hours to 2 minutes, right? So that's from when the client sends that email to when they get a response back with the correct information. And the cost saving was about 1.5 million. So it reduced the load on the call center agents, so they didn't have to worry about it too much. And that led to about 1.5 million. And let's just settle in for a second and realize how much money that is and how much time is actually saved. So how cool is that? Cool. We're almost done, but yeah, let's just wrap up and see what we've actually spoken about here. So I think you can agree AI is pretty awesome. It has various applications in industry, as we discussed, from manufacturing, healthcare, and finance. And we've seen how AI can be used to make an impact by solving problems and helping us along the journey. I personally believe that the future of AI is bright. There are a lot of considerations and a lot of things that we need to be careful of, especially with regulation and bad actors. But I think the future is definitely bright with AI, and it will help humanity grow to further heights. Cool, that's my story, and I hope you enjoyed it. If there are any questions, I will have a look at the chat, or I'm not sure if you guys want to unmute and you can ask away.
Thanks so much, Anil, for giving us a specific use case. Particularly, it's always nice to see, people always talk about AI in theory, but it's really nice to see actual use cases of them. I'm just monitoring the chat. Are there any questions that we have for Anil? As I said, we encourage you to pose any questions that you may have. And remember, at the end of all the talks, we will have a longer Q&A session, but I think there's a little bit of time to answer a few questions. Samir, I see you have your hand raised. You can unmute and ask your question.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you guys. Okay, so just a bit of context from my side. I'm actually a master's research student, actually using Python and AI, right, for preventative diagnostic purposes, analogous to what you've achieved, Anil. So that's amazing, and hats off to your achievement. My question, just to gain some insight at a more granular level, with regards to large language models and the deep learning, excuse me, what parameters did you guys use to optimize the model to achieve such a amazing success? Because turnaround time from 48 hours to 2 minutes is over the general quoted 15 times improvement. So you guys have achieved fantastic results. And 1.5 million is, again, that is a massive dent to the balance sheet, which then affects the time of the whole company. So clearly you guys have achieved some fantastic things. So just curiously, I'm just curious because I have an appreciation for what you guys have done, because I myself have made my own ANN, so I can understand the magnitude of what you guys have appreciated. Thank you.
Cool, that's a great question. So the trick is when it comes to prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is basically engineering your prompt to ChatGPT or whatever endpoint, and you have to be very specific in terms of what you ask it. So we spent a lot of time in that problem space refining the prompt to make sure that the model understands exactly what we want. Initially, we tried some very vague prompts like, hey, here's a bunch of emails. Can you classify it as a statement request or not? And the accuracy wasn't that great. Then we introduced some additional sort of guiding regex pattern matching for the model to use, and that improved the accuracy again. But if I could sum it up, I'd say the prompt itself needs to be absolutely spot on, because you don't want to have any room for any error in the output. And the more detailed you are, the better your model is going to behave. One thing that just as a constraint, and I'm sure you know, there is a token limit when it comes to using any sort of model. So tokens being like the number of words in your prompt. So you kind of have to balance it out, make sure that you've got an adequate amount of detail, but not overly detailed that you exceed the token limit. Otherwise, you just can't make the request. I hope that answers the question.
Thanks for that, Anil. There's two more quick questions which I think we have time for. There's a question here in the chat here which asked, it's quite a general question, but it says, is OpenGI or in general brackets ChatGPT data detected by Turnitin, or is it copyright content? So just maybe you can speak about challenges you are faced with. Just how ChatGPT plays together with plagiarism and all of these concerns that you have to take into account when you're working with these tools.
So I haven't personally read about anything related to something like Turnitin. I remember using Turnitin when I was, in university. And it's an interesting thing now because ChatGPT is essentially trained on the internet's data. So technically, you could be plagiarizing by copying somebody else's work from ChatGPT directly. Not only are there inaccuracies with ChatGPT in general, but remember, it's a mishmash of everybody's answers and content on the internet that comes through as the output from ChatGPT. So, and another thing, if you do generate content with ChatGPT and copy it one for one onto, let's say, your essay or assignment, it's likely going to be picked up by Turnitin with the additional AI sort of filters, because the algorithms detect the way the response was created. And there are typical signatures associated with the output. I'm not sure if that answers the question.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion that we can have. I think we need another, we need a whole tech talk with regards to plagiarism and ChatGPT. But there's a very interesting question here, but I think it's relevant to all three of you. It's relevant to Patricia as well. So I think let's come back to that after Patricia's talk. Thanks so much, Anil. We really appreciate your presentation, and I hope you'll be around to answer some questions for our students. Next up, we have Bianca McFadyen, who's going to be giving us, McFadyen, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And she's going to be telling us about Entelect recruitment and student opportunities. And she is the marketing and communications manager at Entelect for quite a few years. So another really nice opportunity to see concretely what opportunities there would be available to you at Entelect. Bianca, can I hand over to you?
I'm not sure if she's on the call, but perhaps we can hand over to Patricia in the meantime.
Oh, okay.
She is, yeah, no, Bianca,
Yeah.
she is on the call. I've just spoken to her. She was trying to share her slides. I think she'll
Oh,
just, if we give her a minute.
oh, she's
Yeah,
requesting for access. Yeah.
I'll just quickly give her access. If it doesn't work in the next 10 seconds, we'll go over to Patricia. Sorry about that. Sunil, are you able to do that? Because I don't think I'm a co-host, so I don't think I have those rights.
Yeah, I've given her permission.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bianca, I've given you
Great.
the co-host rights.
Thank you. I can see now that I can add everything on. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I've literally just landed in Cape Town from the hot weather in Johannesburg to snowing on the mountains in Cape Town. So forgive me being all huddled up in my jacket here, but it's even cold inside. So that was a very interesting chat. Thanks, Anil. I'm sorry I missed that, but I'm sure I will catch up on the recordings. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen and go into the quick presentation that we have for you guys today, and get going with that. So you've heard a little bit about Entelect, so I'm not going to bore you with much more of that. But what I will go through is something that we really buy into, and what we really stand for is that we have proved in the industry that we are not and no longer synonymous with the myth of non-delivery, poor meeting of budgets, and shady software. We've actually spent the last 23 years proving that we can be both successful and do good for people while delivering on all three of those things. And that is a model that we've actually replicated across all of our global offices from the UK through to Sydney, which is working very nicely. And we've become a trusted partner in industry because of that. So in terms of the nuts and bolts, we are a people company. That is what we refer ourselves to, because our product is our people. So our focus is always on that, and that is our number one. And we have strongly believed that if we look after our people, they in turn will be happy and do good things for our customers. We were founded in 2001, actually out of a university, that being WITS. We had our first offices actually in the Chamber of Mines building down in Wits. So we are very close to universities. In fact, our background stretches to being first and foremost a recruiter for graduates more than building software. So we definitely understand what you guys are going through on the ground there, and the difficulties and challenges you face at university with your studies. We are actually run by software engineers. What that means is most of our senior leadership, by me, are actually career devs. So again, they are engineers, computer scientists, and they know exactly what our people go through on a day-to-day. Even our CEO is a master's engineer. So they are the people that actually do your interviews should you make it through. And it's not your traditional HR people that you will find in corporate that actually do interviews. It's actually our software engineers that run our interviews. Right now, we're over 1,500 intellectuals. We've actually just crossed that barrier as of this morning. 90%, which are SEs, analysts, data scientists, and UX engineers. And a couple of locations we have. These are physical locations that we have across the world. We've just opened up a new offices in Wellington in New Zealand. Our official logo went on the door yesterday. So we have brand new offices in Wellington, which puts that at 2 offices in New Zealand, being Wellington and Auckland now. And then just a little shameless plug, we actually need to add 2024 there. We've actually been ranked as Africa's fastest growing company in 2022, 2023, and this year in 2024. Just a couple of pictures just to give you a visual of where we're at, just to get those juices flowing. But you can see obviously the Jacaranda is synonymous with our Centurion offices, the Netherlands slap bang in the middle there. They literally commute on bikes. So most of our people over there working in our Netherlands office actually have, instead of a petrol card or a Gautrain allowance, they have actually a bike allowance, which gets them a rental bike should they need it throughout the month. So all of our global offices work slightly differently to our SA offices. This is by no means exhaustive. These are just a couple of our customers that we wanted to show you, just giving you an overview of the fact that, you know, we do a lot of work with the financial and insurance industries, but it's not the entirety of where we play. It's everything from agriculture right through to mining, to telecoms, etc. Just going actually back to that last slide, I think what I always forget to mention is when you guys and girls are looking at, you know, what kind of industry you want to play in or what kind of job you're looking for, always remember that every single company is different. So whether you're looking at a corporate, you know, that's very different to a startup, which means you'll probably be doing everything from making coffee to deving that software to putting that software product out on shelf if it's an actual product, to a consultancy, which Entelect falls under, giving you exposure to many different industries, which means you ramp up quickly before deciding on where you actually want to play or specialize. We are a tech-focused company, so we obviously get involved a lot in community stuff and ramping up our community in STEM. And we do that by running a whole bunch of hackathons throughout the year. I'm more than sure UKZN has entered our University Cup a couple of times. I've seen a few teams participating then. I'm still waiting for you guys to take the leaderboard one day and get your name on our trophy that's in our office. We also have a program called Technology Accelerator down there in the middle there, TechAC, and that basically gives our people some time, some cash to work on their pet projects. And the cool thing about that is that IP actually remains with our people, not with Entelect. So if you are the next Uber, we will support that by giving you all of the resources and time and cash to work on your project throughout the year, and that then remains yours. And then a couple of the other things that you've read on that list, our tech conference called Dev Day. In fact, we've got our next one coming up now on the 10th of October. We keep the theme top secret, so I can't mention that here because we've got Anil and Patricia online, so I can't divulge that theme, but it's a lot of fun, and basically it brings all of our people together twice a year to watch some cool talks, but most importantly, just to be together, because we are a consultancy, so lots of different, lots of our people work at lots of different companies, and this is just a way to bring us all together outside of our year-end functions. Again, we are tech agnostic. So this again is by no means an exhaustive slide. And what that means is we don't say that we're a C# house or a Java house. What we do is we look at the problem at hand that our customers are facing, and we solution around that. And then we choose the best tech suited for solving that challenge. So it doesn't mean that we don't use other technologies. We'll use the best technologies for the problem at hand. And then this is just our code. And again, to everyone looking at their first jobs out there in industry, remember that, it's important to look at the company's values that you're joining, because if they don't resonate with you, you're not going to have a great time holding those values close to your heart and living them day by day when you join a company that it doesn't resonate with you. So look at their values. We had a bunch of values, when we started out, you kind of textbook, Google what are the best values, to have in a company, and things like ethics would come up and, the usual. But what we decided is that we wanted to really live our values day to day. And what did that look like? And so these three are core to who each and every single intellectual is. And that is by no means in order of, importance, but to boldly grow, which means every single individual working for Entelect, no matter who you are and where you are in your careers, we found that we believe that growth isn't optional, and that you should be growing and pushing yourselves and learning every single day. Relationships are key. That means everything from your relationships at home with regards to your parents or your partners, as well as your colleagues, extending into then your customers are important. Remember, the industry is small, so those relationships are key to build, which also builds trust when you get to work. And obviously those that care for you at home, to make sure that you're keeping those relationships strong, because they do form part of your life. It's not just your work life. Then getting things done. Every single engineer wants to see their work in action. So making sure that you're delivering on what has been promised, and then getting to see that used by the end user. So we strongly believe in taking ownership of what you are doing, and creating that professionalism and urgency that goes with getting stuff done in our industry. We also live by our code, so we do have high performers, but yes, we also have fun. So there's tons of clubs. I'm sure Neil maybe mentioned it in his talk, but he runs basically all of the paddle clubs in our national offices, because it's a passion of his. So if we don't have a club, you're more than welcome to start your own club. Recently, we've just started a dance club. It's very new to Entelect. They're about to have their kickoff. We've gone live at the beginning of this week on our internal platforms. So yeah, we do believe that, you are going to be working hard, and we do hold you to a high standard. And then we want you to have fun with people around you, because I think Sheldon, one of our GMs, said it in our engage session this morning. If you don't like people that you work with, you're going to have not such a great time at work. So get to know your peers, and share interests, whether it's a club, a hobby, or something else. And I know number 6 is, in terms of, trying to keep that family environment, regardless of the fact that we've grown globally as well as to over 1,500 people, we have still kept those same values close to our heart. And each and every single one of my team members lives that out every single day. The rest I've spoken about, growth, obviously relationships, you saw that in our values. And then most importantly, as so far as we can, we give autonomy to most of our teams. And obviously this will depend on customer as well, and that trust you've built up with customer it will have a direct influence on how much autonomy they give you in those in your projects. And why we believe in this is because with more autonomy comes faster growth. So we definitely believe in fostering that environment. Couple of our sports and hobby clubs, again, if you don't see it there, that's just highlighting a couple of them. It's by no means everything that we have. It's just highlighting some of the ones that were prevalent. I specifically kept paddle off here because I think Anil's got enough paddle people playing with him. And then more importantly, guys and girls, how do you join the team? So you apply culture.entelect.co.za. That is our website. We've made it very easy for you. A couple of clicks and you've uploaded your CV and you've selected graduate to apply to our program. The most important thing to take away today is that once you are employed at Entelect, it is a full-time employment. It is not an internship like some companies offer where you spend 12 months with them before they decide to put a permanent contract in front of you. That is not how we work. So if you get through our interview process, which I'll talk a little bit about just now, is you are then fully employed, you're paid from day one, and then you go on to what we call our boot camp. And what boot camp is a 10-week additional learning program that we have put together at Entelect with the intention of ramping you up very quickly so that we can squash that imposter syndrome that you might have coming out as a graduate. And it basically puts you ahead of any of your peers that don't come through our boot camp. So yeah, it definitely is a program that is tough, and you will cry and your parents will hate us and you'll feel like you, in your worst days back at varsity during exams, it is a little bit worse than that, but you'll come out stronger and you'll come out with 70 other students having formed a bond that lasts throughout your career at Entelect. You can also just send your application to careers@entelect.co.za if you don't want to do it through our website, and just attach those 3 documents: your CV, copy of your ID or passport, as well as your transcripts. And that's really it, guys and girls. We do have a very strong program that we have adopted over the years. It is a well-known boot camp to get into. And if you are applying, I do wish you all the best. There's a couple of questions just in the chat, or at least one, just a quick one. How can I get invited to some of the events shown? I'm really interested in being exposed to the Entelect space at a network-like event. So I'm going to give you my direct email address. In fact, you can use the careers@entelect.co.za address. I would be more than happy to actually invite you to one of our meetups, one of our forums, maybe even a dev day that we're hosting in October as one of our guests. So drop a mail, put that in the subject header, and we can take it from there. Another question is, are there any computer engineers working at Entelect? Computer engineers in terms of, I'm assuming you mean maybe networking type work. And if that is the case, yes, we do. We actually have a full-on department called Help Desk, which is filled with those types of peeps working at Entelect.
We have one hand, Samin. Maybe you can ask your question, and we can come back to the rest after Patricia's presentation. Samin,
Cool.
Go ahead.
Samin? Nope.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Here we can.
Cool. Sorry. Just a quick question. I wanted to ask, what is the criteria regarding the graduate program for selection? Does it, depending on multiple companies, etc., do we have certain preferences from discipline? Because I'm potentially looking to come in from an unconventional discipline, being civil engineering. Thank you.
Good question, and we get that question quite often, especially when we attend career days and we meet everyone from mechanical engineers to civil engineers. A degree in our minds is a degree. However, coming through boot camp, predominantly if we look at your electronics and electrical as well as your computer science graduates, they've got kind of the basics and the basic understanding of what is going to be required. From a chemical engineering perspective, we do look at them for our other roles, so our business analyst roles as one of them, because we feel that that has fitted in a couple of times. It's not the norm though. So predominantly we look at computer science and electrical engineers, and these days even a little bit of mechatronics, depending on where your passion lies.
There's one more very quickly related question about statisticians. Somebody is asking whether statisticians work at the company.
Again, very good question. So we have that role called data solutions engineer, and we feel that if you've done some stats but with ComSci subjects, that we definitely will look at that combination. Pure statisticians, probably not, but I never want to say no. You know, for me, when I'm giving advice to students wanting to apply, if the company resonates with you and you really want to give it a bash, if you don't send in an application, you will never know. What I always advise is put a little paragraph on the cover letter and just explain exactly who you are and what you're after, because all you have is you've got your school results and you've got your university results. That's what you have on paper to put in front of a prospective employer. So give a little description about yourself and what you've done on the side. If you've done some, some stuff and you've uploaded it into give us that link and they'll have a look at that as well. But explain who you are and what you're after, because they do read that.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Really appreciate that presentation, and especially as well, given the constraints you had with your flight and still making the time for us here today.
Yeah,
and
absolutely welcome.
Thank you. We've heard a lot of stories about the boot camps from my colleagues. After it is when you can really be really happy that you've learned a lot. So I've heard that you do gain a huge amount in those 10 weeks. We've already covered a lot, but we still have another amazing presenter that's going to tell us a little bit more about why you should be choosing, or why Entelect. And I'd like to hand over to our final speaker, Patricia Haryparsat, and she will be, she's also a senior software engineer at Entelect. So Entelect has definitely sent through their big guns for these presentations, and we're looking forward to getting more from her next. Over to you, Patricia.
Thanks, Asad. I'm just going to start sharing my presentation. Please do let me know when you are able to see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patricia Haryparsat, and I'm a senior software engineer at Entelect. And I'm also a UKZN alumnus. So it's really special for me to be here to talk to you about a company that means a really great deal to me, because it's not only a company that has shaped my career, but it's also become a place where I've seen tremendous growth, I've seen innovation, and a very unique culture that I believe sets us apart from the rest. So Bianca mentioned a lot in a presentation about what Entelect stands for, what our core principles are that make us unique. And so I just want to share a couple of things that I love personally about Entelect that I want to share with you. This is also not an extensive list of what we have to offer, but I'll just go over a few of them now. So the first is bonuses. Everybody loves bonuses. And at Entelect, we're a company that ensures each individual at Entelect gets one bonus equal to their salary at December for them to enjoy, which I think is a really, really nice perk that you get when you join Entelect. Second, and one of my favorite, is increases twice a year. Not just once, yes, twice a year. At Entelect, we conduct biannual performance reviews with continuous feedback. So this not only helps you to track how you're working towards your goals and growing in your respective fields, but you are also rewarded with increases twice a year, both in January and July, based on your performance. Another really nice thing that we offer at Entelect is bonus leave days. So this is over and above the normal annual leave days that you would accrue at the start of your employment at Entelect. An example of how this works is, let's say you've been at Entelect for 3 years, you will receive an additional 2 years of leave days. If you've been with us for 4 years, you would receive 3 days extra. 5 years, you would receive 4 days extra, and so forth, with 5 additional days, I think, being the maximum that we go up to for bonus leave days. So I think we've covered a lot of good things about Entelect, the nice to haves, the culture at Entelect. But I think I just want to take this time to share about my personal journey at Entelect. So when I first joined Entelect, I was also drawn to the promise of growth and the innovative spirit that they have as a company. And I just want to tell you that the reality has far exceeded my expectation. From day one, I really felt valued and welcomed. The onboarding process was seamless. I was quickly integrated into a team that not only supported me, but they also challenged me to push my boundaries. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to work on projects that have truly made a difference, and not just for Entelect, but for our customers, most importantly. For me, I think one of the most rewarding aspects of my time here has been the opportunity for continuous learning and development, whether it's through formal training programs, mentorships, or simply just the collaborative nature of our work. I've been able to grow both personally and professionally in ways that I never even imagined. But what I love most about Entelect is not just the support that I receive professionally, but also personally. So when I first joined back in 2019, I had to relocate to Johannesburg. And whilst this was exciting, I was also filled with fear because this was my first time being away from home, having to live by myself. But I quickly managed to get the support from my team, which really, really helped me feel at ease. The year after that was the start of the COVID pandemic. And with the lockdown, this meant that I couldn't see my family as often as I would have liked to. And so I soon started missing home. But once the pandemic had ended, I had learned that Entelect opened offices in Durban. And at this time, we were already either working remotely or with hybrid working models at our clients. And so this really made me feel comfortable to approach Entelect with the thoughts of moving back to Durban. As you can imagine, I received full support from Entelect. They even ensured that this was communicated to the client, and arrangements were made for me to work remotely, which was a great relief. So this year also marked my 5-year tenure with Entelect, which I think in itself speaks volumes about Entelect as a company. But I think what I cherish the most is the relationships that I have been able to build over these past 5 years. The people here at Entelect are not just my colleagues, they're my friends, they're my mentors, and I've been able to build a true support system for myself. I just want to say that being a part of the team here at Entelect means we celebrate each other's successes, we lift each other up during tough times, and we are all working towards a common goal. And it's this culture and sense of camaraderie that I think truly sets us apart from the rest. So I just want to leave you with this final thought. Joining Entelect isn't just about taking the next step in your career. It's about becoming a part of a community that values growth, innovation, and impact. It's about working in an environment that supports both your professional development as well as your personal well-being. And at Entelect, we believe that everything is possible. So if you're looking for a place where you can thrive, be challenged, make a meaningful impact, then I invite you to join us. Together, we can achieve great things, and I'm really excited about the possibility of having you on board. So yeah, that brings me to the end of my talk. I do have my email address here should you wish to contact me, ask me more questions, get a better understanding of what Entelect is about, or any other questions that you might have. I'm happy to try answer that for you. And on the screen, you'll also see a QR code that you can scan that will take you to our culture document on the website to read up more about Entelect, what we do, what we have to offer. That's it from my side. Thank you. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks for that presentation, Patricia. And it's nice to get a very a personal story of exactly how Intellect has affected your life in a positive way, and we appreciate that. There are quite a few questions that we've received, and some of them are relevant to all three of you. So I guess we could post them, and whoever feels best placed to answer them can answer. Just coming back to the question that I said earlier, that we'd come back to, somebody posted in the chat, and Anil has already chatted to them, but I think it's nice for the benefit of our audience to tackle this, is about how much scientific innovation, and they've written here by scientific, they're talking specifically about stats, maths, and computer science. How much of innovation factors in your day-to-day, or is it just effective use of known technology, such as programming algorithms and tools?
Cool. Yeah, let me just reiterate that. Yeah, so as you progress from university to working at a client or your next job, you will definitely tend to the effective use of technology that does exist. However, to be very effective, it is extremely important to know and understand, and of course appreciate the underlying math and science behind the tools that you use. Because if you just blindly use a model or something like that without understanding what actually makes it work, that's not great, because if something goes wrong or you have to answer some questions about it, you'll be dead in the water, and that's not a good place to be. A good, effective engineer understands what they are doing with the technology that they are using. I cannot stress that enough.
Patricia, anything you want to add there, or that's a very nice answer from you?
Yeah, no, I think nothing more to add to that from my side. I think Neil summed that up quite nicely.
Just a question that I've received previously regarding Intellect. It's very interesting about a lot of companies talk about software developers, but Intellect always talks about software engineers. What would you say is the main reason for that? For referring to new recruits as software engineers from the outset.
I'll take this one. So we don't just put people on project and give them, a spec and go and code this. For me, that's kind of a software developer, anybody, and when I say anybody, most people, if they have a passion for coding, can go and learn how to be a software developer. Why we call them engineers is because it's more about logical thinking and being able to understand lots of different challenges from lots of different industries, and being able to have that insight or the thinking ability to see what maybe our customers aren't even seeing. So in layman's terms, to give you an idea, is if a customer approaches us and wants to build a Porsche, We will delve into that to find out why they want that Porsche. Is it to be competitive? Is it, you know, an internal system that they want to work on? And we will actually let them know that they only actually need a BMW and they don't need a Porsche, and that we then create that for them. So it's about having that logic and that kind of that design thinking ability more than just being able to code. Remember that we're also working on massive products all the time that people in South Africa are using, right from Discovery Health and, you know, your Vitality system or bank, right through to, you know, the apps that you use for your banking systems. So it's not small projects that we're working on. So it's that level of thinking that we're always after. So that consultancy mindset about it, you know, really about how to think about a problem logically more than just being able to code it.
Yeah, it's very nice to see the wide array of clients that you are working with, and obviously there's so many more that you're going to put on those slides. Just a quick one for you, Bianca. Somebody is asking about, and I know you've touched on this a lot, but about applied mathematicians. As an applied mathematician, they would be interested. Are there opportunities for them? I know you've touched on some computer science would be ideal.
No, I can repeat that as well. So advice is apply, because if you don't apply, you will never know. Write a small synopsis in your application about what you're passionate about, regardless of what you've studied, and why you are passionate about that and what you've done because of that passion. So again, you know, we have a lot of graduate roles available, and we're looking for you know, specific culture fits as well. That's what makes us kind of intellectuals, is that specific culture fit. So it's not always about, you know, what you studied, but how you come across and what you're passionate about. So give it a go. We have had so many students coming through our doors already this year into our Entelect Open Days, which is basically the interview for graduates. We don't hold one-on-one interviews. We hold this open day that really gives you an experience of how you will work at Entelect. So you'll see that we've got a couple of pair programming directives that you get to work on, because it gives you a feel for working as a team, not as an individual. And inside that, we've had guys and girls coming through with, you know, high marks, kind of, you know, your 80s, 90s, sometimes even 100% for computer science, and they actually haven't made the cut. And then we've seen on the opposite spectrum, maybe a couple of guys and girls kind of, you know, that 65% mark with a bunch of, you know, subjects that we generally wouldn't look at, but they have that focus and that mindset that we are looking at. So don't be fixated on what you've learned. Put your best foot forward, apply, and write that synopsis or that little paragraph in the beginning of your application, just to give a little bit of insight about what you're after.
That's very true. And whatever you've studied, you have to be open to continuously learning new things. So that's good to hear, because we have a lot of different, you know, our school as well is the School of Maths, stats and Computer Science. So just a few more questions. There's a question about Entelect. How does, if students are interested in studying further, how would that feature if they join the graduate program, maybe after that, or if they want to go and do postgraduate studies? Maybe you could speak a little bit about that. And yeah.
Cool. Pat, I see you unmuted. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. I think I can take that one. So yes, in terms of opportunities to study further, Entelect does support that from a financial side of things. So they will be willing to pay for that for you to further your studies. In an example, let's say you're joining straight out of university with just a degree and you wish to pursue your honors further, that is something that you can approach Entelect with, and they'll be happy to compensate towards your studies. Bianca, I don't know if I've missed out anything on that.
So I'm just going to rectify Pat there. Sorry, Pat, that I've got to rectify you there. So what we actually do is we give if you want to further your studies and go and do your honors or your masters, we give you time. So there's study leave in terms of that, but so we definitely do give you time to do that. We treat everybody as individuals. So it depends on what your circumstances as well, which is what Pat is talking towards. So perhaps if you didn't have the financial ability to study further, but you wanted to study further, you can approach Entelect to help on that front, and every case is treated one-on-one. In terms of how we promote growth and how we give you opportunities to grow with study at Entelect is, if you've looked at our law, there's 2 double full pages literally dedicated to that, where we send you on conferences. We got a bunch of forums that we do. There is coffee and codes. There's beer and text, which has changed slightly. They're more kind of like tech talks more than anything else, where our people get to learn. And if that's not kind of the format that you like to learn in, you can go and do some one-on-one studying, which we do the finance. So yeah, there's just a bunch, you know, whether it's a plural site license or whether you're studying through Udemy, we do facilitate helping you financially with that.
I think we can just take 2 more quick questions before we reach our time. But one quick question here is about, is there an age limit for the graduate program?
No. We have a graduate a couple of years ago, no, actually not, about 9 years ago, who joined us as a 30-year-old grad. So, and he's one of, you know, he forms part of my team, my second team, so I should call it. And yeah, he's currently in our grad program, you know, interviewing current grads to join our stuff, our graduate program. So no, there isn't at all.
That's good to hear. Well, and one more question I think would be interesting, because the challenge, a lot of our, not really a challenge, but in general, it's well established that people love to live in Durban, but a lot of companies have more of their presence in Cape Town and Joburg, and a lot of people end up moving due to that. But it's really nice to see, like, if some people, due to constraints in their life, want to still stay in Durban, that companies like Entelect, there are a few other, and there are definitely other opportunities, but like, what would you say, Patricia? Our students would be interested in knowing how big is the presence in Durban? Are you working with projects only in Durban? Are you working with the larger teams? Is it a small team? Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about what's particularly happening in the Durban office. Obviously, our students wouldn't be restricting themselves to this offices only, but for people who are in that situation, and I know remote work is also an option.
Thanks, Asad. Yeah, so I think Durban is one of our smaller offices. If you had to compare that to the size of teams that you have at Joburg or Cape Town, we're definitely more on the smaller side, but we also are still expanding. So we have really nice offices based in Umhlanga, a lot of people going there on a daily basis. But I think what's also really nice is, you know, we touched on the social clubs that we have. And these also are a great opportunity for everyone to be in at those offices and just collaborate together, spend time together, grow those bonds. But from a project side of things, it's not to say that, you know, if you're working at the Durban offices, then you're only going to be based at a Durban client. It doesn't really work that way. You could potentially, you know, work for a client that's maybe based at Joburg or at Cape Town. It's really just how the team at Entelect chooses to fit you in and where your skills are needed.
Thanks so much. Anil has, we're fully acknowledged we've reached the 1 o'clock, and thanks, Anil. He's at the drop off. Thanks to Patricia, Bianca, and just Entelect in general for heeding our invitation for this tech talk. And I'm sure our students gained a lot from this this iteration of our seminar series. And I just want to remind everybody that this seminar series will be continuing, and Sinesansha will be sending out an invite for our next week's guests as well. Thanks so much for your time, and I wish everyone all the best, and I hope everyone has a really nice day.
Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.